There are a couple things you can check for if you got adequate air pressure to your pneumatic cylinder, but it is not extending out or retracting like it should. First off, you want to check to see if there is blow-by in your cylinder. So what that means is you want to put air pressure on, let's say, the extension stroke of your cylinder. When you apply air pressure onto this port, check the side on this side to make sure that there is no air leaking out from this port right here. If you got air leaking out from this port when you're applying air pressure on this side, you have blow-by inside your cylinder piston seals, and that is why your cylinder will not extend out. Do the same for this side. Apply air pressure to this side. Disconnect the air hose on this side. Make sure there's nothing connected on this side, and you should have no air pressure coming out from this hose or no air leak coming out from this port as well. If you have air leak, again, you have a seal that is bad inside your piston, and that is why your cylinder will not retract. Sometimes you have air fittings like this that has built-in flow controls. See, like this one here, it has a little adjuster where you can control the flow of air coming into your cylinder. And if this is incorrectly adjusted, let's say it's in the back here and it's incorrectly adjusted, somebody turned it all the way down, you'll have adequate air pressure coming in, but not enough air pressure coming out to your cylinder. And that is why it will not extend out. Same principle goes for these kind of flow control valves. They're not built in with the fitting, but they do the same. They regulate air coming in and regulate air coming out if they're on both ends on each port of the cylinder. You can also see here, you have free flow coming in and out this direction, but when air returns through this direction, it is restricted to go out. So let's say you have each of these on your retraction stroke and your extension stroke, and somebody misadjusts these and it's restricting air that can exhaust. When it's time to push back, if this is restricting air from exhausting on this end, there's no air that can exhaust out, so your cylinder will just remain stationary. You might see a little bit of jerking motion, but it won't do anything. Then also you want to make sure that the load, whatever load is connected to your cylinder, is not bounded up. I've seen before where the cylinder cannot move because the load is stuck mechanically or something is binding it, and the cylinder itself is receiving adequate air pressure, but it cannot move because it is mechanically stuck. So you just want to make sure that whatever load it is moving is not binded, it's not stuck, nothing is holding it into position, preventing the cylinder from actuating when it's commanded to. If your cylinder has an exhaust like this or a silencer, make sure it's not plugged up. That way when it's exhausting air, nothing is blocking it, preventing the air from exhausting out, because that will prevent your cylinder from moving like it should. Sometimes with built-in flow control valves right into the fitting on both ends, on each end, sometimes it gets airlocked. I've had to before disconnect the fitting and release the airlock and then put it back down and readjust accordingly so that it is not airlocking. And to tell if it airlocked inside your cylinder, you just disconnect both of the air lines. Of course, shut your air power off, disconnect this one, and you should be able to move your cylinder rod freely like this. If you can't move it like this, that means that it has airlocked, so you would need to go ahead and remove your cylinder, your fitting from both sides, and then you should be able to free it up and reinsert your fitting. Two ports like this are double actuating cylinders. If you would happen to have a cylinder that is like this with one port, so when it extends out, the only way for it to return back into position is spring return. There's a spring inside here. If it would extend out but not return back, most likely the spring inside your cylinder is broken, and just buy a new cylinder. They're cheap and throwaway parts. So those are some things you can check if your cylinder is not actuating like it should, even though it has adequate air pressure. Till next time, deuces.